Linda Matthews never imagined that a lonely winter in Montana would lead her down a twisting path of hope and heartache. After a messy divorce and the loss of her dear dog, life in her remote cabin felt as empty as the snow-covered pines outside her window. Hey, one bitter December day, the quiet of the forest was shattered by a soft, desperate cry. Following that sound with cautious curiosity, Linda discovered an injured young bobcat, its golden eyes reflecting a mix of fear and pleading hope. In that charged moment, a spark of compassion lit within her, and thus began a tale of survival and unexpected friendship that would soon rewrite both their lives. What secret did the wilderness whisper to her that day? At 52, Linda had expected her world to be filled with the warmth of family and familiar routines, not solitude 20 miles away from town. With her divorce papers barely dry and betrayal still cutting deep, she found herself settling into the rough beauty of nature. The loss of Max, her aging golden retriever, only deepened the sting, as if the universe was stripping away every small comfort she had known. Her impulsive decision to buy the cabin, financed by her divorce settlement, had left her facing long, quiet days and frost-bitten nights. Working 3 days a week at the local library in Whitefish gave her solace, while the rest of her time was spent wandering the nearby woods, slowly reconnecting with herself amidst the rugged landscape. But little did she expect that one fateful walk would change everything. How could a simple cry in the woods carry such destiny? During one of these solitary strolls in early December, Linda's worn hiking boots crunched softly on a light dusting of snow when the sound of distress nudged her off the familiar trail. Winding through a thicket of pine and spruce, she found a tiny bobcat kitten, barely a few months old, huddled beneath a fallen log. Its soft, spotted fur and a badly injured leg caught in a cruel trap pulled at her heart. Despite the inner voice urging her to call for help, the rapidly dropping temperature and fading daylight pushed her to act on her own. With trembling fingers and a determined heart, she removed her thick wool scarf and slowly approached the frightened animal. "Oh dear, what happened to you?" she whispered, careful and kind. After nearly an hour of delicate work, she freed the kitten from its metal trap, though the wound was severe and the creature was weak from dehydration. With no other choice, Linda gently scooped the fragile bobcat into her jacket, her own body shivering with both cold and worry. What twist of fate would bind them forever that night? Back in her modest cabin, Linda transformed a small room into a makeshift recovery space. Old blankets, a carefully arranged litter of garden sand, and a well-worn first aid kit became her tools in nursing the injured bobcat back to health. As the creature remained calm through the procedure, its large, golden eyes filled with quiet trust, Linda spoke softly. "You need a name now. How about Sam? Strong and gentle, just like you." That first night she hardly slept, constantly checking on Sam, offering him water and bits of chicken with a tenderness that belied the sharp cold outside. In the following weeks, her days blurred between studying wildlife care online, managing delicate feeding schedules, and tending to Sam's slowly healing leg. She knew her actions skirted legal boundaries, but her heart wouldn't let her abandon him. Even as January slipped away, the bond between them grew in unexpected ways. Could this vulnerable connection hide a deeper lesson in trust and healing? As winter began to loosen its icy grip, Sam's injuries mended and his wild nature re-emerged. He would pace along the enclosed porch that Linda had set up, his eyes glancing curiously whenever she spoke to herself. One particularly frosty night in February, Linda awoke to find Sam perched outside her window, shivering against the rampaging mountain storm. With a mix of caution and longing, she allowed him to come in, marking a turning point as the two learned to live side by side, a delicate dance between the tame and the wild. Watching him pounce on falling snowflakes or stalk the fluttering birds through the glass, Linda felt a bittersweet tug. Her library work, solitary walks, and even the familiar rustle of the forest now echoed with memories of shared nights and silent conversations. What price must one pay for a second chance at love, even if it comes in the form of a wild creature? Then one quiet morning, nearly 2 years after their first meeting, Linda stepped onto her porch to water her hanging baskets and found a freshly killed rabbit neatly placed by her door. At first, she assumed it was the work of a wandering predator. Yet something about the careful placement, as if it were meant as an offering, set her heart racing. Over the following days, similar gifts appeared. Rabbits, squirrels, even an occasional grouse, all left at the same spot. One August dawn, with the sun painting the mountains gold, Linda recognized a familiar silhouette watching her from a distance. Sam. Now stronger and more wild than ever, he sat at the edge of her clearing, his steady gaze filled with unspoken understanding. "Hello, old friend," she murmured, her voice thick with emotion. Though he stayed on the outskirts, his presence sealed an unbreakable bond. One built on respect, healing, and the bittersweet art of letting go. What next chapter awaited in the silent conversation between heart and wilderness? Linda's story of caring for Sam slowly turned into local legend. Neighbours spoke of the kind woman and the wild bobcat, who shared an unlikely connection. Not the mummy. Her children, once worried about her isolation, began to visit. And her daughter Emma, the passionate environmental lawyer, found herself fighting for laws to ban dangerous traps like the one that had hurt Sam. The library even kicked off a children's program, Sam's Story Hour, where Linda would share tales of wildlife and the fragile balance between nature and care. Over time, Linda penned a heartfelt book titled Of a Bobcat Who Came Back, detailing their journey, a story of unexpected love, resilience, and second chances. As dusk settled one evening, she watched from her window as Sam returned to leave his final gift for the day. A plump rabbit, sighs that seemed to say thank you in a silent, ancient tongue. How can a single act of kindness ripple through life and change it all? Sitting by her computer, 5 years later, Linda added the finishing touches to her book, already attracting the attention of several publishers. With a promise to donate part of the proceeds to the local wildlife centre, she prepared for another season of sharing her unique tale. That night, as the moon rose over the Montana peaks, a familiar patter of paws reached her door. Linda, moving quietly, peeked out to see Sam, placing one more gift on her porch. Though he remained distant, a wild spirit never fully tamed, his gesture held the same love that had once transformed two lonely lives into one intertwined story. With a softer thank you whispered into the quiet, Linda reflected on how sometimes the most profound gifts arrive, not when we ask, but when we dare to open our hearts. And as she tucked her latest gift away, a new day beckoned, filled with the promise of more unexpected miracles on the edge of the wild.